Yeah, so this is a fair use from the Act of 1976, disclaimer, section 107, on the critical and teaching and scholarship and educational purposes, research. I am not making any money off this. This is fair use, fair use. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chaha Kodash, Kahalayim Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom, to your sisters, Yuachwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This is your brother Aram Yahweh with the lesson.
News just coming in. Despite US and Iran agreeing to a 2-week ceasefire, the Gulf states continue to come under attack. Sirens have been sounded in Bahrain. Through a post on X, the country's Ministry of Interior advised citizens and residents they have been urged to remain calm and head to the nearest safe space. Well, this is the latest we're getting at this hour for our viewers who are just joining us. Despite the US and Iran agreeing to a 2-week ceasefire, the Gulf states are continuing to come under attack. Sirens have been sounded in Bahrain. And through a post on X, the country's Ministry of Interior has advised citizens and residents they've urged them to remain calm and head to the nearest safe space.
Yeah, so this is so basically they have the ceasefire, but look right here. It says Bahrain has reported aerial attacks. So there's attacks still going on, even though there's supposed to be a ceasefire. Alerts, despite announcement of a temporary ceasefire, U.S.-Iran ceasefire raises concerns about the fragility of the truce across the Gulf region. So let's look up this.
Fragility.
Okay, yeah, fragility. Okay, I think it says fragility is a state of being easily broken. So they're afraid that this agreement could be easily broken, which we know about Esau, Edom, man. Basically, he's broken all his treaties. But not to mention, missiles are being shot off in the between these Gulf countries. You know, because they inadvertently got involved, just because some of the bases of the U.S. were there. So now, you know, they're kind of into the fight too, you know. This is broken, damaged, or destroyed, characterized by the lack of resilience, high vulnerability to stress, and insufficient coping mechanisms, right? So that's what you end up with, insufficient coping mechanisms, you know, as far as everybody being on one accord, you know, being able to you know, deal with whatever the ceasefire is about, you know. And we know it's not going to happen long, right? That's why it's
fragility.
Or it's fragility, right? They're worried about the fragility, right? And it means it could be broken, which we know at any time, because we're in a time where we're in the birth pains, right? So once the birth pains are going, yeah, it's going to be broken. It's going to be damaged, because the time is speeding up. So yeah, so basically it says that they have rising concerns about the fragility of the truce across the Gulf region. So everybody's is concerned about whether it'll stick. right? And then you know how Iran and America plays dirty, because they'll shoot a missile at Iran to try to make it look like it came from, I don't know, let's just say Kuwait, you know, and now Kuwait is involved with a battle they didn't really start, but once you're in it, you're in it. And, you know, and that's just kind of how they play. They play that dirty game. So it says, so air defense systems are active in several Gulf states as tensions persisted even after the ceasefire framework was unveiled, right? So you got all these things that's basically, and it ain't gonna stop. So you may get 2 weeks out of it, maybe, but it's gonna continue, right? Because we're in the time of the birth pains. Yeah, so this is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 35, which is in the Apocrypha, which is canon and is very prevalent to the Bible because it is part of the Bible, right? It says, "Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Adonai Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Kakadash. Behold," which means feature eyes, look, pay attention. The word of the Adonai Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Kakadash. Receive it. Believe not the gods of whom the Adonai Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Kakadash spake. Yeah, right. What Esau trying to be a god, you know, via through the microseed, right? You got to believe that the Lord said that you got to believe that the Lord said to not trust in those these other gods, Allah, Buddha, JC, right? You know, Yeshua, whatever they want to try to give you, but then they'll tell you his name is Yeshua, but they'll always go right back to calling him JC. So they don't believe in what they're saying. These are these other gods, right? Buddha and you know, women, children, all these other different gods that these people have. You know, behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. The plagues draw nigh, right? And we've seen that via through the CV19, but they said it's the CV19 2.0. It's about to happen. So they're not going to let go. They're not going to let go of this opportunity to be able to lock down the world, right? Right? Never let a good crisis go, right? Never let a crisis go to waste. I believe Slakia, right? It says and are not slacked. Yeah, see, it's really going to just pick up. It's not slack. It's basically it's going to be like a birth pain, you know. It's just, you know, you feel it, and it kind of slows down. You know, it takes a while, which is what they're talking about, 2 weeks. It could take 2 weeks. It could take whatever, a month, but it's going to pick up, right? Because it's going to come a time where it's not going to slack. As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pangs compassed her womb, which pangs when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment, right? So we're coming to the time where the war is going to increase, the famine, the pestilence, everything's going to increase. The woes of the world, the inhabitants of the world is going to the judgment, right? Because the Lord said he's coming to judge the entire world. And then when it comes, it's going to be like, it's not going to slack, not a moment. Even so, even so shall not the plagues, right? See, the plagues even so shall not the plagues, see, even so shall not the plagues be slacked, see? So, you know, you got pestilence, diseases, even that's not going to slack to come upon the earth. And the world shall mourn, right? And that's the famine, diseases, all sorts of different things, man. The lack of thereof is going to come, right? The lack of love, right? Because it tells you that, what it says, the love of man shall wax cold. Yeah, so that's because you could kind of say that now, but you haven't seen it when there's nothing. right? When it's the purge, you know, when there's no food, no water, no nothing, pestilence, no police, when it's all out anarchy, then you're going to see the love of many waxing cold, or just be cold, right? It says, upon the earth and the world, right? See, because the Lord's coming to judge the world, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. So everywhere in the world, there's not going to be a place on the planet you could just go and say, I found a place where I can live in peace and everything is good. No, the entire inhabited earth is going to go through it, right? Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell therein, right? So, you know, mostly dealing with, you know, the international bankers, you know, the people, the rulers. But even you regular people, you know, you thought everything was good, you know. Basically, you had your time, right? You had your time to enjoy, you know, your wickedness, your folly, and it says, woe, right now judgment is coming. So the world was able to enjoy its folly and all these other different things, but woe, what meaning with judgment. So now judgment is entering into the world, to the habiters of the earth. So not just a particular part of the globe, the entire globe, everywhere in the world is going to get a judgment. Everybody's going to feel it. The inhabitants of the earth and of the sea meaning the people, for the devil, right, which is Esau, Edom, right, the false accuser, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. See, and now we're at the time that Esau has a short time to rule, and he's feeling the crunch, so he's not gonna let go, right? This ceasefire is not an admittance of there ain't gonna be any war, right? This is not a admittance that they're not gonna let things, because this is gonna be the CB19 all over again. They're gonna do a global lockdown, and this is a grave opportunity for them to do that. So it's not gonna let go, and this is basically, like I said, it's the birth pains, right? And they know they got but a short time, because what? Even they're saying that this can bring in the apocalypse, right? It says, and when the dragon, right, which is the Roman Empire, saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted, right? Because basically he you know, the rulership that they have, America, NATO, EU, and America is Rome 2.0. They came back with the deadly wound that was healed, so they're in their rulership again, and all they're gonna see is, damn, we're down at the bottom like everybody else. Like we don't have that prominence. We're about to get cast out of our position. So being taken out of their position, they're angry. They know that they have but a short time. They're gonna have come down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. And then at this time, this was a Herod, and you know, because not that Herod was part of Rome, but it was a Herod was given that position as a king of Judah by the Roman Empire, right? Right. So it's basically, you know, he got given that authority by the Romans, by Esau, because they're Edomites. He was an Edomite. Herod was an Edomite. You know, the Herodian dynasty, which were Edomites. And basically, yeah, so they came in that power, that stead of the Roman Empire. That dragon saw he was cast into the earth. He persecuted the woman, which would be the nation of Israel, right? Which brought forth the man-child, which is Yahushua, right? And that was in the time of, like I said, Herod, right? The Herodian dynasty. The first Herod went after Yahushua, right? But there's a second coming of Yahushua, right? Because Yahushua's birth, death, and resurrection, it's putting an end to your society. Yeah. So this is Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14 says, therefore, the Adonai Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua Bahasham Kakadash himself shall give you a sign, right? behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. You know, and a sign is for something to look for, to something that's either about to happen or coming upon the earth. You know, a shift, some type of thing that's about to happen. So this is a sign. And what's the sign that you need to be looking for? Behold, look your eyes for feast, pay attention. Behold, a virgin. So you're supposed to be looking for this virgin, which is I believe it's Ayalama, which is a woman of a marriageable age, right? Because you got I believe Bathwala is an actual virgin, one that's never been touched, and Ayalama is a woman of marriageable age. So I believe this right here is Ayalama as a virgin. So lucky if I got it wrong, you know, but I believe it's Ayalama on this one. Shall conceive and bear a son, which would be Yahushai, and shall call his name Emmanuel. And Emmanuel meaning God is with us. And no one ever called him Emmanuel, right? They definitely never called him JC, right? Because that's a false name. He'd never be called JC. His name is Yahushai. And God is with us. It's just, the miracles that he did, like John Levite, John the Levite, or what they call the baptizer, asked him, should I find another? And he told him, look, tell him that the dumb speak, the deaf hear, the blind see, and the dead has been raised. There's no need to find another. I'm him. I'm that guy. So you're good. So yeah, now you know that Emmanuel, God is with you. That's basically what that represents. It says butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse evil. So what amount of butter or anything could you eat to make you know to refuse? Which is basically talking about the truth, right? Because what was it? Ezekiel? I know it's in Revelation, right? I believe it's in Revelation. I know there's two parts where it says it was honey in my mouth, but bitter in my stomach, which is dealing with the truth. See, but Yahushai, he did have a bitter part, being on the cross, but he had the full measure of the truth, though, So it's basically dealing with the truth. He should understand the truth that he may know, right? Have that understanding, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that he may know to refuse evil and choose good, right? The wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It says, for before the child shall know to refuse evil and choose good, the land that thou abhorrest, right? See, the land, yeah, the Lord kicked us out of the land and rejected us. Boarded shall be forsaken of both her kings, right? Kicking out the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, right? The Lord kicked us out, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And it says and Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai shall bring upon thee and upon thy people, right? And upon thy father's house the day that have not come from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria, right? Yeah, because Ephraim went into captivity, and then after Ephraim went into captivity, he came to the Americas, which that ended up happening to us. We got kicked out of the land into the interiors of Africa, to West Coast Africa, and then eventually brought into the land, and eventually brought into America, brought into Arzareth, right? Yeah, so this is Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 29. It says, the whole city shall flee for the noise of the horsemen, right? Because we're getting kicked out of that land, out of the land, out of Israel, just same way that the northern kingdom got kicked out, of the horseman and the bowman, right? They shall go into the thickets and climb up upon the rocks. Every city shall be forsaken, and not a man shall dwell therein. So we get put out the land, in that time. And that's pretty much similar to what Esau's about to do now. That's why you got the militaries and all these cities prepared to come against you, Jakes. I mean, it's for a dual purpose, right? Because also the economy is going to collapse, so they're prepared for that already. They're prepared for anarchy, the economy collapsing, all these different type of things. Preparing for martial law, preparing to put things in order as far as the Novus Ordo Seclorum, right? Out of chaos, right? So it says, and when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Speaking of Israel, right? Talking about the southern kingdom at this point. But pretty soon it's going to be all of Israel. What are y'all going to do? What are we all going to do? Because a lot of you like the vote tap dance, because it says, though thou closest thyself with crimson, right? Crimson meaning red, or even go back to the old meaning crimson meaning red, but it also goes into the word crime, crimson. You follow the ways of Esau Edom into crime, drugs, gangbanging, drug dealing, pimping. You do all these different things to fit in to Esau society and his way, because the mob and all these other people, they got rich off of doing, crimes and this and that. So what can we be, like these different mobs, the Italian mob, the Irish mob, hey, the Jewish mob, right? All these people did the thing, made it, and now in society they're looked at as, but the whole thing is you're the people of the Bible. You're the Lord's chosen people. So though you clothe thyself with crimson, though thou decketh thyself with ornaments of gold, right? You showing off your gold chain, your Jesus piece, all these different things, to fit into this so-called society, to show that you got this money and you're an American citizen. You vote, you ride around with your Trump flag, and you just really trying. You got your red freaking mega hat on, and these devils, man. Hey, look, hey, though thou rentest thy face with painting, in vain shall thou make thyself fair, which means beautiful. So you putting on, like a makeup. You putting on this mask, this whole American dream mask, right? But hey, though you put yourself as great citizens, and there's all the great inventions that you've created. Look what they're doing. They made it to none avail that you created all these inventions. Then Trump get up there and say how great they are because of the inventions they created. And see what they're saying is a white man created, when you can go back and prove, because a lot of those so-called black people, which are Israelites, went to court and proved that they were the ones who invented it. So there's receipts that so-called black people created those inventions. But even to this day, they're going to live in the disillusion and push you off like you ain't the people who created these things. You're not the reason why Cadillac didn't go under. You're the reason why a lot of these places didn't go under. Why the entire United States should have went under a long time ago. You're the reason and the resolve to all their problems, but they don't see it like that. They see you as the problem, right? So in vain shall thou make thyself fair, which is beautiful. Thy lovers, right? Because you love this place. This Edomite man is your lover. The lover will despise thee, right? And they do. MAGA despises you, right? The Democrat Party despises you. You Democrat Jakes. They will seek thy life, and at the end of the day, that's what's coming. They're gonna seek your life. For I have heard a voice as of a woman in travail, and the anguish as her that bringeth forth her first child. See, and that's what's gonna come. That's the time that we're living in, because they'll come down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. Just like we got put out of the land in that time, the southern kingdom out of Israel, fleeing Roman persecution and slavery, and fled a thousand, what it says, black Jews into Africa. And that's going to happen again. You're going to flee. You're going to be running. People are going to be being unalived. Hey, all over the place, man. That bewildereth, right? Crying, you're gonna be crying, bewildereth herself, and that's what you're gonna realize. You should have took hold of what the prophets were speaking of. because you're going to see that the men of the Lord are going to be, hey, they're going to be straight. They're going to be good. You're going to be like, damn, how can I be one of them? No, it's too late. You had an opportunity that you could have been like them, but you decided to deny it. Which not to mention, everything is predetermined already too, right? But still, the Lord's going to say you had your shot, because the truth was out there. That spreadeth her hands. Yeah, and it spreadeth her hand, saying, woe is me now, right? Yeah. For my soul is wearied because of murderers, right? Yeah, see? And now that's what we've been telling you. Esau's a straight up murderer, which we know that. You can go all the way back. Was it John Casey's and what's his name? Jack the Ripper, and Jeffrey Dahmer, and this dude's been the murderer, bro. He's been the murderer, right? Yeah. Come back here, 2nd Ezra chapter 16, because what, the birth pain is not gonna slack a moment, right? Basically already said that. Right here it told you they're not gonna slack, right? So the birth pain is not gonna slack. So, oh my people, hear my word. Make you ready to the battle. See, and that's ultimately what's happening, man. The battle was going to be here, man. Things is going to go from a spiritual battle to a physical battle, and also spiritual, right? It's going to be physical and spiritual at the same time, right? Not being able to eat, which is spiritual too, like, you know what I mean, right? But it's physical, right? But then they got different mind games and certain things, and what they call it, Project Bluebeam, and this and that, and then just people going without, starvation and thirst, and certain things. It'll have you thinking crazy. You go a couple days without eating or drinking any water, you start thinking a certain way. But that's why the wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of your times. That's when you're gonna have to really be just meditating on the scriptures. You know what I mean? And the time that they're gonna make it illegal to have a Bible, right? It gotta be in you, and it gotta be in you, and not on you, right? You gotta be, you gotta be in you. It gotta be that. So, but that's what it is. It's gonna be a battle. Make ready to thy battle, right? And in those evils, right, which means a bad time, even as pilgrims. So we're gonna have to be, you're gonna have to bust a pattern, man. You can't just stand still. You're gonna have to move upon the earth, right? Because the whole earth is gonna be going through this, and you're gonna have to be as a pilgrim, which that's our natural state anyway. We roamed in the desert for 40 years. That was our natural state anyway, to be nomadic, right? And it says, he that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away. Hey, see, and you're making money, you're selling things, you're selling your goods, you're doing whatever you need to do in life to preserve yourself, to make a living. Hey, sudden destruction. Hey, the things are gonna happen. The birth pains are gonna come. Hey, and you gotta just be able to let that go. You gotta flee away. And he that buyeth as one that will lose. Hey, yeah, man. Sometimes you buy things to sell things, right? And if you buy the things to sell it, hey, you might just, understand it's going to be a time you're going to be like, hey, I'm just going to have to lose out on that. I'm not going to go, all hell's breaking loose, but I got 300 more of these things I have to sell, and then I can run. No, you got to be able to, at the drop of a hat, right? I heard one brother mention that that movie. Was it damn, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a really good movie, a classic movie from the 90s. But what's his name? Robert De Niro was in it. They were robbing the banks. He said, I have to be in a thing in a split second to just leave everything behind.
right at the drop of a hat. I got to be able to leave everything. And they had that movie called Leave the World Behind. You got to be able to actually leave the world as you know it behind, right? Because you will have loss, right? He that occupieth, right? You have a home, or you're occupying a space, and you're paying your rent, or you just paid your rent. You're like, I just paid this, and now I don't got no money. He that occupieth, right? Merchandise, right? Basically, same thing like the buyer, the seller, right? As he that have no profit, buy it, right? Yeah, see, you buy, you sell, you may have merchandise. Hey, you got to be as if you have no profit by it. And he that buildeth, as he that shall not dwell therein. Yeah, see, you got a home, see, you occupy something, whether you're occupying goods or you're occupying a home, right? Either which way, you gotta be able to leave it. He that soweth, right? You're a farmer, right? You know, you've been doing your thing, making your money, doing, as if he should not reap, right? Or you doing your own thing just for yourself, you may not have time to bring in that harvest. You sold, but then, hey, in season, out of season, anything can happen. Like it says, they're gonna say, was it peace and safety, then certain destruction? Yeah, that's kind of reminds me of that, of a ceasefire. You got a ceasefire, it's a certain level of peace and safety, but it always reminds you, anytime sudden destruction can happen, and then they're only having a ceasefire for 2 weeks so they can bring in more troops. And then while they're doing that, Iran is building up their thing, and they already been giving them, they already been giving them the blues, So also he that planteth the vineyard, as if he that shall not gather the grapes, right? Yeah. So you gotta be having that mentality, man. He that marry, right? You got a woman. I just got my woman, man. I just got married, bro. He that marry, as if he shall not get children, right? And they that marry not, as the widower, right? You gotta be like, hey, yeah, you gotta be able to leave your woman, your children, or whatever it is. If they ain't, with the same mind frame of being able to just leave everything and get out of there, you gotta leave them. You gotta let them go. Yeah. So this is Isaiah chapter 24, verse 2, and it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with the master, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, right? Which means you're in debt, right? So with the giver of usury, right? The person who gives, like the Rothschilds, right? These the world bankers, right? Because the whole world's gonna go through it. The whole world's gonna get judged, right? It says everyone will suffer. Yep. The priest as well as the people, the master as well as the servant, the elegant lady as well as the female attendant, the seller as well as the buyer, the borrower as well as the lender, the creditor as well as the debtor, debtor, right? So everybody's gonna get it, no matter who or what you are, no matter how high or low you are on the planet. Everybody's gonna go through, because it talks about Esau's gonna have, he's gonna have it all together, like he's in the fullness of his sufficiency, right? See, but hey, it says the land
shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, right? Like a food, like a bread, like of everything. That's what they have planned on doing. You know, they're gonna corral you. They're gonna corral you. They're gonna, basically corner the market on you, and then you have no choice but to unless you have the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Shai. Other than that, you have no choice but to give yourself over into the beast system, right? So that's why this is not going to slack. It's not going to stop, because they're not going to give up a hey, like I said, they said do not let a good crisis go to waste. So that's part of it. But the Lord got a judgment for everybody. So no matter who you are, it says that the earth will be completely devastated. It's like and thoroughly ransacked. For Yahweh have decreed this judgment. Wow. Yeah. The land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled, right? Robbed, right? Ransacked, like another way of saying robbed, shall, for Yahweh have spoken this word, right? It's his judgment, decreed. Yeah, decreed this word. It says, the earth mourneth and fade away. The earth languishes and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. See, and that's these elites, right? Right. It's gonna say right here. It says the earth dries up and withers. The world shrivels up and withereth. The prominent people of the earth fade away, right? See, because they're going to have the earth, it's going to be in the fullness of the sufficiency. They're going to have everything. Everything's going to be lined up. People are going to get micro C-hipped. The 15 minute cities are going to be working. Everything is going to be working. They're going to be putting people in these concentration camps and re-education camps, which they show you that in that the total, not Total Recall, but the Running Man. And the Running Man, the I don't know if it's Quaid or what. I don't know which one he is, because I think he was Quaid in the Total Recall. But in the Running Man, I don't remember his name. But it's Arnold Schwarzenegger played in the Running Man, and he goes to the apartment, which is supposed to be his brother's apartment, and the lady says your brother had got sent to re-education, which they're gonna have those things. Everything is gonna be laid out. They're gonna have everything. But the Lord said, what? Whether it's the prominent man or the prominent people of the earth fade away, right? So these prominent top people, they're gonna be getting judged, right? But first and foremost, they're not gonna let a good crisis go to waste. They're gonna force you to come unto them, right? Get the micro C hit, and then once that happens, that's leaving the world. So the earth is also defiled. See, once everybody start getting the micro C hit, that's when the whole earth is defiled. The Lord ain't got nothing to do with the earth anymore. He got nothing to do with any of it. The earth is defiled by the inhabitants, or the earth is defiled under the inhabitants. In that one, and it says, for they have violated laws and disregarded the regulations and broken the pre-man treaty, permanent treaty. It's like it. So the earth also is defiled under the habitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenants. Right? They changed the covenants. You know, a man is not supposed to be able to marry a man. That you broke that covenant, right? You changed the covenants. A woman should not be able to marry a woman, period, no matter what. These different things, the MNRA, right? The different thing that they're trying to change your DNA. You should not be changing a person's DNA. That's you're changing the ordinance, right? To fit your thing. So you could put the what do they call it? The micro C hip, but also
the nano parts, the nano particles to help receive the frequency of the 6G and all these other different things, man. Says therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell in are desolated thereof. Therefore, or desolated. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few left. Right. So yeah, it ain't gonna be nothing left but the elect, man. Ain't gonna be nothing left but the people that needs to be put in chains, put into slavery. You know, the elite is going into their bunkers, right? And then the people who are left, because of course America is going to be completely done away with, wasted. It's going to be done, right? It's going to be turned to a complete desert. You know, it says so a treaty, so a treaty cursed devours the earth. Its inhabitants pay for their guilt, right? See, the elite, they you know, they're gonna have it all prepared. They're not gonna let this go because it's a crisis. Like I said, it's a crisis they can't let go to waste. So they're gonna use with you know, this thing to force everybody to you know, this is where you get your food from. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is the brave new world. But guess what? They're gonna get judged, right? They're gonna get judged. Also, they're gonna pay the inhabitants, which are Esau, Edom. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? Cover the face of the judges thereof. If not, where who is it? Right? Job 9:24, right? See, the inhabitants pay for their guilt, right? Because they're guilty, right? Also, it talks about he who have Revelations, he who have destroyed the earth. Woe unto him that have destroyed the earth, or destroy him that have destroyed the world. Yeah, that's how it goes. Destroy him that have destroyed the world, right? With the pollution and all these different things. Hey, you're the rulers, and you're gonna have to pay for that, right? The inhabitants pay for their guilt, right? You know, the different bloodsheds and the killings and all sorts of things that's been going on. The Epstein Island, all this stuff. They're guilty, man. This is why the inhabitants of the earth disappear and are reduced to just a handful of people, right? Which is going to reduce this whole thing. Because see, they're thinking they're doing a what's it called, a great reset, and that they're doing a population control. And you are, because the Lord wants you to do a population control, right? The Lord wants you to reduce it to just a few people, right? Because you're what is it called, the Georgia Guidestones that you blew up, but it left it to where you only wanted 500 million people on the earth. Well, the Lord wanted you to do that. So you're really falling under the orders of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 66, verse 6. A voice of noise from the city, a voice from the temple, a voice of Yahweh, right? The Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakha HaKodash, that rendereth recompense to his enemies. So Esau's going to get his judgment. I mean, they're going to lock down the you know, use this Strait of Hormuz things and lock down the globe once again. You know, in the name of a power, global power crisis. Lock it all down. But hey, it's all what the Lord wants. It's what the Lord wants. The Lord wants you to do a population control deletion, so to speak, right? The Lord wants you to do it. So you're falling right into the hands of the Lord, but they're not going to let it go because they have to do it, right? But the Lord's going to render a recompense upon his enemies, and that's starting with Esau, Edom, right? Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pains came, she was delivered of a man child, right? Going back to being Yahushai, right? That man child being Yahushai delivered us. That's his name, Yahushai. He's salvation, which tells you that in gives you the definition in Matthews 1 and 21. You should call his name Yahushai. Should be Yahushai there. Not the letter J is only 4,500 years old. There's no E's in the Paleo Hebrew, so there's no J's and there's no E's, right? So that's completely wrong. His name should be Yahushai, which means he shall save his people from their sins, right? Save, salvation. He is salvation, or he is deliverance, right? Because, you know, she was delivered, which is talking about Israel, the nation of Israel. She was delivered of a man child, right? Going back to Yahushua, that's our deliverance through Yahushua, who have heard such a thing, who've heard a thing like this before. You never heard of that before. Hey, but even King David said, my Lord said unto my Lord, but he was speaking of Solomon, which really actually was Yahushua, right? I mean, if you understand, you understand. And it says, who have heard such a thing, who have seen such a thing. Hey, man, it's never been seen before, but you're about to see it right before your eyes. You're seeing it. You're seeing it, the development of it. You know, what's it called? The arresting development, because there's no way out of it. Esau's going to be destroyed. He's doing what the Lord, he don't have control over what he's thinking and what he's doing. Shall the earth be made to bring forth? Yeah. Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? See, that's what's going to all happen. This birth pains, World War III, the pestilence, everything that they're doing, locking down the globe, everything. This is all for the birth pains. And eventually, they're not going to slack a moment. And there's going to be nothing they can do about it, right? And then it's just going to bring forth the true birth of a nation, right? Which is the nation of Israel, the entire nation, all 12 tribes, the tabernacle of David. It's going to bring forth what shall a nation be born at once. For as soon as Zion, or to Zion, right, which means memorial, which is another way of saying Israel, right, travailed, she brought forth her children, right? Which is talking about the whole nation of Israel is going to be born at one time. We're going to be put in the earth, put in the authority in the earth, right? You know? Yeah, so this is John chapter 16, verse 21. It says, a woman, when she is in travail, have sorrow, because her hour is come, right? So we're going to go through Jacob's trouble. We're going to go through all these different things, lockdowns, you know, very, you know, hard to move around, and different things. You got to be ducking, hiding, and you're going to have to trust in the provision of the Lord, right? You know, and that's just that. But soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembered no more the anguish. So, hey, once we get the kingdom and everything is good, and the Lord destroy our enemies, hey, we're gonna be good. We're gonna not even, basically, not gonna remember the pain that we went through, right? So it's gonna be all worth it, right? You know, I mean, it hurts now. It really hurts. But hey, it's gonna be beneficial in the end. You're not even gonna remember the anguish anymore. For joy, that man is born, right? Hey, Yahushua, that man child, gave us deliverance. He was born for our purpose, for our kingdom, for our world, for his world. This is really Yahushua's world. Who he happens to be a Hebrew Israelite, right? He happens to be what they would call a Negro, black, a nigger, a nobody, from the ghetto, right? Because even him, when he was on the earth, that's why can any good thing come from Galilee? He was from the hood. He's from the city of David, right? That was the hood. That was the slums, right? So he knows all about that, man, right? But our Lord perseveres over all the madness, man. He knows how to, even though through all the things, he knows how to choose a righteousness over evil, and that's what we got. That's the things that we're learning to do. Hey, and in this thing, that's what you're gonna have to get put to the test. You're gonna have to. Hey, when you have an 8 in 3 days, and there's somebody over there with the thing, and you can go, I can go over there and just snatch this dude up and take it. And what are you gonna do? Are you gonna trust in the Lord, or are you gonna choose wickedness over righteousness? You know what I'm saying? That's a totally different thing, right?
For joy, that man is born into the world, and that world is Israel, man, to our world, right? It says, and ye now therefore have sorrow. See, and we have sorrow. Right now we have sorrow in this world. We have sorrow. Ye now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again. See, Yahweh Shai is going to see us again, right? Again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man taketh from you. Hey, man, see, that's going to be a beautiful day, man. The Lord's going to, well, we're going to be born, and a whole nation is going to be born at once, and nobody's going to take our joy away, right? In fact, let me go back right here real quick. I'm going to just end it off right here. This is Isaiah chapter 66, verse 10. Rejoice ye with Jerusalem, or Yerushalayim, right? Because the letter J is only 4,500 years old. That J is no good, man. It's made up. Rejoice with Yerushalayim, and be glad with her, all ye that love her, right? and nobody loves us but us at this point, right? Like even other Israelites don't love us. So only the elect is gonna love us, man. We're gonna love ourselves. We're gonna love the brethren. You know, the children, the women, the children. We're gonna love them, man. We're gonna be doing Epstein things, man, and all this other madness on the planet. They're gonna be messing over the trees, and you know what I'm saying. And they're gonna do man with man. You know, none of that's gonna happen, man. Cause that ain't love. That ain't true love. A man being with a man is not freaking love. That don't make sense, man. I mean, you hate him because it attacks your soul, man. Right? Weakens your spirit, your soul. Weakens your testosterone, your manhood. I mean, you could absolutely not love me at all if you want me to live like that. It means you hate me, right? Because a man is meant to be a man, no matter how small, big, tall, or whatever he is. A man is meant to be a man. It says, where was I at? Salakia. Yeah, but yeah, for rejoice for Jerusalem, and be glad with her, all ye that love her. Rejoice for joy with her, all ye that mourn for her. Right, and we're mourning. Yeah, we're mourning to bring the kingdom, man. Mourning that this day will show up. It will come, which it is. It's coming. You know, it's basically already here. It's just we got to go through this pain, that ye may suck and be satisfied, right? The wisdom, knowledge, truth, the understandings, right? You know, and with the breast of her constellation, right? Yeah, and this is the constellation. The constellation is the kingdom, man. The wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and then you're gonna actually finally get the kingdom, right? That ye may milk out, right? Which hey, it goes back to the basics, right? White with milk, pureness, the basics. You know what I'm saying? Back to the apostle always back to the basics, man. And be delighted with the abundance of her glory. So call volume Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom, to your sisters, your Chwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and above all, Chwam Yasharallah.